The tale of the oldest Christian dynasty begins in the depths of history, tracing its roots back to the early days of the Christian faith. As the religion spread and gained followers, so too did the influence of this remarkable family. Through shrewd political maneuvering and strategic alliances, they ascended to the pinnacle of power, solidifying their place as one of the most significant dynasties in the world. Like any great dynasty, this family was not without its fair share of intrigue and betrayal. As rival factions vied for control, internal power struggles threatened to tear the family apart. Yet, through cunning diplomacy and sheer force of will, they managed to weather the storms of adversity and emerge even stronger than before. Their resilience in the face of adversity is a testament to their enduring legacy. Welcome back to our channel, where we explore the fascinating history of royal dynasties around the world. In today's video, we will be delving into the rich and complex history of the Bagrationi dynasty. From their origins in the ancient kingdom of Koti to their eventual demise, the Bagrationi dynasty has left an indelible mark on the history of Georgia. So sit back, relax, and join us as we uncover the secrets of this illustrious royal family. The history of the Bagrationi dynasty dates back to the 8th century when Ashot I, also known as Ashot the Great, founded the dynasty in the kingdom of Katli. Ashot I was a powerful ruler who successfully defended his kingdom against Arab invasions and laid the foundation for future expansion of the Bagrationi dynasty. Under his leadership, the Bagrationi dynasty began to establish itself as one of the most influential royal families in the region. Georgia's royal family was known as the Bagrationi dynasty or Bagrationta dynastia. From the early Middle Ages to the early 19th century, they were in the forefront. The current term for this royal line is sometimes the Georgian Bagratides, which is a Hellenized version of their dynastic name. Both the Bagrationi dynasty's beginnings and their initial appearance in Georgia are up for debate. The Bagrationi chronology is started in the 6th century in traditional Georgian history writing, and it connects the family to previous dynasties. The dynasty's history is intricately linked to Georgia. Early in the 9th century, they took power as ruling princes over the historic southwest region of Georgia and the neighboring Georgian marchlands that they had retaken from the Arabs. Subsequently, they restored in 888 the Georgian kingdom, which prospered from the 11th to the 13th century, bringing several regional policies under its control. The reigns of David IV from 1089 to 1125 and his great-granddaughter Tamar from 1184 to 1213 in particular are seen as the golden age of Georgian history, an era marked by military might, empire, and noteworthy cultural accomplishments. The branches of the Bagrationi house controlled the three breakaway Georgian kingdoms, Katli, Kakheti, and Imereti, until the Russian annexation in the early 19th century following the dissolution of their unified feudal empire in the late 15th century. Up to the 1917 February Revolution, the dynasty continued to exist as an Imperial Russian noble house. Numerous members of the family were compelled to relocate to Western Europe upon the onset of Soviet control in Georgia in 1921. Even now, one of the branches still goes by the name Royal House of Georgia. One of the world's oldest royal houses is the Bagrationi dynasty. For nearly a millennium, their family ruled over Georgia and several independent states, while other dynasties came and went. Given that power is typically concentrated in the hands of one or a small number of people, monarchies may not be the best system of government. However, for many centuries, the people of Georgia were blessed with stability and a strong sense of national identity thanks to the old Bagrationi dynasty. The dynasty's patronage of learning contributed to the development of Georgian culture. In the modern nation-state of Georgia, symbols and memories of this dynasty have played a crucial role in the construction of national identity. A family legend recorded by the 11th century Georgian chronicler Sumbert Davitiste and later provided with chronological information by Prince Vakshit Bagrationi 1696 to 1757 stated that the dynasty's ancestors originated in Palestine circa 530 BC and traced their lineage back to the biblical king and prophet David. According to tradition, 1 out of 7 brothers who fled from the Davidic line, 3 settled in Armenia and the other 4 reached Katli, a significant region in Georgia known to classical authors as Liberia. There, they married into the ruling houses of the area and obtained some lands that belonged to their family. A lineage known as Bagrationi is said to have sprung from one of the 4 brothers, Goram, who passed away in 532 and was named for his son Bagrat. In 1575, Goram, his successor, was given the title of Quoracles by the Byzantine court and established as the ruling prince of Katli under the protection of the Byzantines. Up until the early 20th century, this custom had received widespread approval. The question of the Bagratites' origins is still contentious, even though current scholarship has largely rejected both their Jewish and biblical ancestry. A perspective established by a number of Georgian historians during the Soviet era was compiled by N. Bedson Shively and colleagues in their standard reference work on Georgian history. The most ancient district of Georgia, Spiriv, now Ispe, is the birthplace of the distinguished Bagrationi dynasty from the 6th to the 9th centuries. The Bagrationi gained significant influence thanks to their visionary and adaptable policies. Among other Transcaucasus kings, one of their branches migrated to Armenia and the other to Katli, where they both established themselves as the main powers. However, a number of contemporary academics contest the above interpretation, citing a more thorough examination of original Georgian and Armenian sources. In Western scholarly literature, a genealogical scheme, according to Cyril Tomanov, is by far the most widely accepted. It confirms that the Adonis family, whose father Vasak, son of Ashot III the Blind, ruling prince of Armenia, from 732 to 748, moved to Katli after an unsuccessful revolt against Arab control in 772, was the source of the Georgian Bagratid dynasty. Ashot I, the son of Adonis, established the last Georgian royal house in 813 when it became the Principate of Katli. Thus, the myth of the Georgian Bagratides' Davidic ancestry was an extension of the early assertion made by the Armenian dynasty and Moses of Corinth, who supported them. The idea of their biblical origins helped to maintain their legitimacy once the Georgian branch have quickly adapted to their new surroundings, took on royal power. This narrative later became a major ideological tenet of the Bagrationi reign that lasted for millennia in Georgia. C. Tomanov has shown that the first Georgian branch of the Bagratids may be traced back as far as the 2nd century CE, when they are said to have been ruling over the princedom of Odke in what is now southern Georgia. Although the history of Bagrationi dynasty is undoubtedly only beginning in the late 8th century, generation by generation, this is not its eternity. It is not possible to regard the Odeke line, which lived until the 5th century CE and was referred to as Bivertinius in medieval chronicles, as the direct progenitors of the later Bagratids, who eventually re-established Georgian regal authority. By the 6th century, when the Sassanid Persian Empire had already overthrown the Georgian monarchy, Caucasian Iberia, and the principal local princely families were worn down by the Arab invasions, the Bagrationi dynasty had become increasingly prominent. The collapse of the Quoracles and the impending collapse of the Khosrows, the two previous Georgian dynasties with whom the Bagratids had extensive intermarried relations, as well as the Absids' preoccupation with internal strife, and the Byzantine Empire, all contributed to the rise of the new dynasty. The Bagratids successfully held their initial domain in Klarieti and Samteshki, and under the Byzantine Protectorate extended their possessions southward into the northwest Armenian marches to form a large polity, commonly known in modern history writing as Tao Klarieti, after its two major provinces. Despite the harsh Arab rule denying them a foothold in the ancient capital of Tbilisi and eastern Katli, the Bagratids managed to hold on to their territory. With the accession of Ashot I to the throne in 813, the new dynasty gained the inherited title of governing prince, Arim Tavari of Katli, to which the emperor appended the title of Quoracles. Georgian territory continued to be split among competing authority even after the monarchy was revived, with Tbilisi being held by Arabs. Three distinct branches, the lines of Katli, Tao, and Klageti, were created by the sons and grandchildren of Ashot I, who were often at odds with one another and the other ruling families. The Katli line was dominant. With Adonis I in 888, it revived the native Georgian royal power that had lain dormant since 580. Bagrat III, his descendant, was able to amass his inheritance in Tao Klageti, an Abkhazian kingdom, partly because of his gregarious foster father, David III, of Tao's diplomacy and conquests. Throughout the 11th century, this unified monarchy remained fragilely independent of the Byzantine and Seljuk empires. It flourished under David IV the Builder from 1089 to 1125, who drove back Seljuk attacks and recaptured Tbilisi in 1122, effectively completing the unification of Georgia. Following the collapse of the Byzantine Empire and the breakup of the Great Seljuk Empire, Georgia emerged as one of the leading states in the Christian East. Georgia's Pan-Caucasian Empire spanned from the North Caucasus to northern Iran and even east into Asia Minor at its broadest point. The kingdom flourished under the reigns of Demetrius I from 1125 to 1156, Georgia III from 1156 to 1184, and particularly his daughter Tamar 1184 to 1213. Despite numerous instances of dynastic strife following the demise of George III, the dynasty was perpetuated by Queen Tamar's marriage to Alan Prince David Soslan, who was purportedly descended from the Bagratids. Prince Vashti claimed that David Soslan's lineage could be traced to Prince David, a refuge from Georgia, who was the grandchild of George I of Georgia from 1014 to 1027 and his wife Audib. The Khwarezmians in 1225 and the Mongols in 1236 brought an end to Georgia's golden age. The state of diarchy resulted from the fight against Mongol dominance, with the Bagrationi dynasty's ambitious lateral branch ruling over Emirati, western Georgia, under George V the Brilliant, 1299 to 1302 and 1314 to 1346. There was a brief period of reconciliation and rebirth. Nonetheless, the Georgian kingdom suffered greatly during Timur's 8 attacks between 1386 and 1403. By 1490 and 1491, the once powerful monarchy had finally crumbled and split into 5 semi-independent principalities: Odishi, Mingrelia, Guria, Abkhazia, Sineti, and Samtskhe, each ruled by a feudal clan, and 3 independent kingdoms: Katli in central to eastern Georgia, Kakheti in eastern Georgia, and Imereti in western Georgia. Throughout the 3 centuries of Ottoman and Persian dominance that followed, the Georgian kings held on to their dangerous independence, occasionally becoming little more than puppets to their strongmen suzerains. The Katli and Kakheti kingdoms were repeatedly invaded by the Persians, who failed in their attempts to destroy the recalcitrant vassal kingdoms. The 2 eastern Georgian monarchies, though they had at times lost their independence, managed to reunite in 1762 under King Hercules II, who brought together Kakhetian and Katlian lines, the latter represented by its junior branch of Mokranji since 1658. The Imereti line, plagued by civil wars, continued with numerous breaks in succession. The kingdom was only comparatively spared from the encroachments of its Ottoman overlords. After gaining de facto independence from Persia, Heraclius II maintained his political control in eastern Transcaucasia and brought about some stability in the nation. He entrusted Imperial Russia with the safety of his kingdom in the Georgievsk Treaty of 1783. But because of Georgia's connections to Russia, the latter was unable to intervene in time to save Tbilisi in 1795 from an attack by Aga Muhammad Khan Qajar, the ruler of Persia. The proposed new treaty's principal goal was to join the Russian Empire with the kingdoms of Katli and Kakheti while maintaining their original monarchy and a certain amount of internal autonomy. On December 8, 1800, Paul I issued a manifesto declaring the direct annexation of Katli Kakheti to the Russian Empire, although the discussions were still ongoing. Up to King George's passing on December 28, the document had been kept under wraps, but the Russian government never acknowledged David as a king, and on September 12, 1801, Tsar Alexander I formally reiterated Paul's resolve, overthrowing the family from the Georgian throne. Despite their division, the Bagrationi rulers resisted. Following their arrest, the majority of them were expelled from Georgia. Less than 10 years later, the House of Imereti came to an end. The Emeretian monarch Solomon II, who was formerly a vassal of the Ottoman Empire, was convinced to sign the Elaz-Nauri Convention with Russia on April 25, 1804, which bore similarities to the provisions of the Georgievsk Treaty. However, on February 20, 1810, Solomon was overthrown by Russian forces. He died in exile in Trabzon, Ottoman, Turkey. In 1815, after being routed in a second uprising to retake the throne, the Bagrationis rose to prominence as one of the most notable aristocratic families in the Russian Empire. The most well-known was Prince Pyotr Bagration, a Russian general and hero of the 1812 Patriotic War, who was the great-grandson of Jesse of Katli. Roman Bagration, his brother, went on to become a great Russian general who fought valiantly in the Russo-Persian War from 1826 to 1828 and was the first to arrive in Yerevan in 1827. Roman Bagration was renowned for his deep appreciation of the arts, literature, and drama. The Bagrationi family departed Georgia in 1921 following the Red Army's occupation of Tbilisi. One of the claims of the Romanov inheritance is the mother of Leonida Georgievna Bagration Mokransky, a descendant of the family who married Vladimir Cyrilovich, Grand Duke of Russia. Even though the last monarch's descendants still reside in Georgia, Irakli Bagration Mokaneli, who descended from the lineage's most senior but historically non-ruling branch, declared himself head of the royal house in 1942 and established the Union of Georgian Traditionalists across Europe. The Italian Count's daughter and his second wife, Maria Antoinette Pasquini, passed away in 1944. Following that, he wed the Spanish Infanta Maria Mercedes de Baviera y de Bourbon, granddaughter of the previous Prince of Bavaria, Fernando of Wittelsbach, and Infanta Maria Teresa of Spain, the second daughter of Alfonso XII. The descendants of the Bagration-Moncronielli line now reside in Rome. The family claims to be the head of the royal house of Georgia and is currently residing in Spain. The history of Georgia and the Bagration dynasty are virtually inextricably linked because of the significant role they played throughout the ages as patrons of study and culture. Symbols connected to the dynasty continue to be essential to the national identity of Georgia in the contemporary post-Soviet nation-state. Although the Bagration dynasty no longer rules over Georgia, their legacy still endures in the hearts and minds of the Georgian people. Today, the Bagration dynasty is remembered as a symbol of Georgian independence and resistance against foreign domination. Their descendants continue to play an active role in Georgian society, and the Bagration name remains synonymous with honor, bravery, and ability. As we come to the end of our exploration of the Bagration dynasty, we are reminded of the enduring power of royal dynasties to shape the course of history, from their humble beginnings in the kingdom of Katli to their eventual downfall at the hands of the Russian Empire. The Bagration dynasty has left an indelible mark on the history of Georgia. We hope you have enjoyed learning about this fascinating royal family, and we look forward to sharing more stories of dynastic intrigue and power in the future. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious.